I gotta say, I've looked at a lot of tree trimming equipment that you can operate from the cab, and this is impressive. Here we have steel mowers. Now the steel mowers are made by Ferris, so you will recognize their deck suspension system on it. Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farm. I'm out here today with my grandson. We're gonna walk around the 4 States Farm Show and show you anything that we think is cool. All right, we've got Dan User here. They call this the Mega Mixer. Mounts on a skid steer, pumps out high volumes of concrete, comes out the end like a conveyor. Here we have an auger. That's one of the things this company really specializes in. They're a local company near me in Missouri, and they do a lot with post drivers and augers. This one caught little man's eye from a distance. Moshio, you guys have seen them on the channel quite a bit. I've got their flail mower. This is a little square baler. How big of a tractor would you need for that Moshio square baler?
75 horse.
75 horse. So here's basically the same machine I've got right in front of us. Those are augers. They drill a hole in the ground. This is a stump grinder. Those are for stump removal. Okay, here's tree puller. Yeah, it is a lot like the one I have. Dan User is different because both of the jaws move on the Dan User. Mine has a fixed jaw and then a movable jaw. All right, Bommalite, which is I've ran a lot of Bommalite equipment, all good stuff. This one is a tree saw. Here you've got a grapple that goes onto a set of pallet forks. You're gonna be able to move a lot of logs with that compared to a regular grapple. I think you're gonna be able to carry more and easier. Work saver grapples. Got a hay accumulator here for carrying a whole bunch of square bales at once. We've got a tree terminator. The difference between my skid steer brush cutter and this one is this has a big tail wheel like a 3-point brush cutter, and then it's only got 2 blades, whereas mine has 3 underneath. Mine has front wheels, but they're more like a fixed wheel. They don't pivot. 50-gallon transfer tank for $325. That's a pretty good deal. Here we have Hudson forestry equipment with a giant loader. These are pretty sweet machines. They can handle a ton of weight for how small they are. All right, what do you think of this guy? Is it pretty good? Do you have good visibility of your load down here? Can you see the grapple and what you're picking up? Out the side. If you guys watch Outdoors with the Morgans, he's been using an Avant loader. It's a bigger version of this, but he talks about how a machine like this compared to a skid steer is not going to track up the ground, but it's got some of the same capabilities for the size of machine and what it can lift. I've done some videos in the past on Hudson sawmills. Pretty cool design. Hudson Brute Jr. All right, so this is a processor. It's got a log deck there. You load the logs in. I mean, it's a smaller processor as far as, I don't know how long of a log you could put on this, but I didn't know Hudson made firewood processors. It's like it's running a Vanguard 16 horsepower. So Hudson is an American-owned company. The sawmills and these processors, they're made in New York. This is the smallest processor they make. It's called the Brute Junior, but they have bigger units. So just for a generalized ballpark, that giant loader over there is going to be about $60,000 and has a operating capacity around 6,000 pounds. But there's different variables in terms of how much weight's put on the back of it and things like that. And normally a machine's rated with tires, a tired machine is 50%. Operating capacity is 50% of tip load. So this machine right here is 31,000 the way it sits, and it has a 2,300 pound operating capacity, which at first kind of blew me away, but the same thing with a track machine, your safe operating capacity is 30% of that. So really you're supposed to carry 800 pounds with it. So it's a little bit less capacity than the Baumolite. It's also got a much different control pattern. So we have left track forward, right track forward that's operated from here, and then these are your boom controls. So it's a different control pattern, but I think like a Toro Dingo is going to be similar to this with the 4 levers. A lot of them are similar to this. Mine is like a standard skid steer control with 1 lever for movement, 1 joystick for the boom. Then your auxiliary hydraulics right here have a detent on the back, but not on the front. This has 9 gallons per minute hydraulic flow, where I think mine is 13. But this machine is going to be 31,000, whereas my machine is 35. Let's jump on it and see how well I can handle those controls. However much trouble I have, keep in mind, half of that is because I'm a rookie. When I walked up to this and looked at the way these controls are, I said, I've only tried something like that a couple times at other shows. And I thought, oh, to do this, you're gonna have to learn a different control pattern. But I was just on that for like 30 seconds. I was like, okay, yep. It's just like a backhoe. Really, in a weekend, you can get really comfortable with a backhoe. And it'd be the same thing with this. Just be on it just a couple days, you wouldn't be thinking about those controls anymore. One little complaint I've got on the Baumolite is it doesn't want to hardly move the boom at low idle. With any amount of weight on it at all, it'll almost bog the engine down and kill it. This did a little bit better job of that, but I noticed on all these machines, those controls are really touchy and the operation is jerky up at higher throttle. So part of that might just be me too, but you've really got to ease into those controls. And when I got that Baumolite mini skid, I honestly thought it was going to have limited use because it's not quite as capable as the other equipment on the property. I just didn't think I would want to use it as much. But I honestly jump on that every time. It's just so convenient to step on and off. Just this little step. You're not climbing up in the cab and shutting the door and messing with the emergency brake and all those things. You step on it and you go, and your visibility from where you're standing to right here, you just feel connected to the work you're doing. So I'm a big fan of these mini skid loaders. Little man got kind of bored over there. He wanted to come to the John Deere, so let's check out these skid steers. Do you know what that one does, buddy? Try to guess what that machine does.
Till.
Huh? Till. Looks a little bit like a tiller, but this goes on a skid steer and it's for trees. See those teeth right by your feet? Those shred trees up into little pieces. Stay back 300 feet because it throws some wood. I've ran one of those. You want to see it? When we leave here, I can show you a video. Okay, we've got some diamond mowers. You want to check that out? Got the backhoe. I sure would like it. He says, you might like that. I definitely would like it. Yep, that seat turns around so that you can run the backhoe from that side, or you can drive the machine from this side. Everybody's going to mini excavators and skid steers, but these backhoes are very capable machines. They just don't fit in tight spaces like that. And that's a pretty good price tag, but this thing can almost be used like a bulldozer. It's a monster. This thing's huge. I could do big work with this. So much more convenient than even the big tractor backhoes, the biggest ones, like that M62 Kubota. Oh yeah, it's got rollers up here for your hand controls. You want to bring me the camera so I can see this? So for comfort here on your joystick, it's gonna give your wrist a break. You know, your visibility of what you're working on is just so much better. Obviously, the advantage to the mini excavator is you can spin it.
Look, it has air in it.
It does have air conditioning. It is hot today. We could use that air conditioning. But I watched Neil from Dig Drive DIY, who has an old backhoe that's in this form factor, and he was showing with his pond dig how you can use this thing like a bulldozer. It's got so much pushing power and length and weight that obviously it's not a bulldozer, but you can do some serious dirt moving and grading with the front of it.
It is a big bucket.
Really high lift height for loading. That's the size I'd like to have. This is probably the size I could afford, if that. Everyone talks about the Chinese mini excavators that you can get for like $7,000 that are this size.
I would not want this one. I would want.
You would not like that one? Why not? Hold on, tip it down. That'd be about the right size for you. You could do some real work on that.
I hope you.
Yeah, you think you could run that?
Yeah.
So this has a similar amount of reach to like my tractor backhoe on that 57 horse TYM. But the advantage to it is you can spin it 360 and fit it in tight places. It's got a lot of advantages over a tractor backhoe. But as far as reach and possibly the power of the boom, you're probably going to be similar. I'd love to direct compare this to a tractor backhoe. And it's the same thing I've been talking about with tractors. I'm really drawn to it, and when my mind says, man, I'd like to have a mini excavator, the first thing I think is, how big of a John Deere mini excavator can I afford to get? But then you start looking at, I could get something like this for $8,000, and you know, you might not have the parts availability and the after sale support and all that you have from John Deere, but you know, sometimes you just need to dig a hole and you got a little bit of money. So you do what you have to do. What do you think about that one? You like it better than the little one?
Yeah.
So hey, what would you think, Zayden? For this machine right here and my skid steer, or that machine over there that has a digger on the back and a bucket on the front? Do you think these two are better?
No, I like that one and that one.
Yeah. Well, what if you couldn't have them both? What if you had enough money, you could either get a skid steer and a mini excavator, or you could get that big backhoe? What would you go with? The big one?
Yeah.
It's a monster, huh? Just doesn't fit in tight spaces. One thing I find really interesting is that there is just no crowd at this show at all. This is the slowest show I've ever been to. And I think these small farm shows are kind of dying out. And it might be partially because you can see everything on YouTube, but it's like people just aren't coming out as much. You can see over there the type of stone I used on the Quonset hut. Stackable, but these are really cool as far as they give you that rock look from the outside, but easy stack. Okay, so we've got some Kubota tractors over here. See what we got here. M5660. About the same size as that TYM. Now when you look at this machine, you see a lot of simplicity in kind of the design. Like simple step, huge cast iron loader mount. Simple, not a lot of levers, not a lot of extra controls you don't need. Just stamped metal deck, no rubber mat on it. When you look at this machine, you think simplicity. But in terms of the actual design of the machine, it doesn't have that simplicity in the design that I was talking about with the TYM and their simplicity of the engine. What do you think about that little guy? You think you would take that? Would you rather have a little bitty tractor like this or that mini skid steer that I've got?
This one.
You like the little tractor better? Look at the size of those little tires. Just tiny. I mean, those are like a lawnmower tire. But I can tell you from experience and from watching Lucas, you can actually do a lot of work with a little machine like this. People underrate them, especially if they're from a farming background, and call it a toy. But Lucas has been running one of these on his channel forever at Peaks Peak Hobby Homestead, and he does all kinds of work, moving logs and fixing his driveway and all kinds of stuff. Is this a diesel mower right here? At 19.6, and that's a big mower. I mean, the platform, that operator's station sits up really high. You guys sell Kubota, but you also sell bad boy mowers? Which do you think's more popular in mowers at your dealership, Kubota or Bad Boy?
Our dealership is Bad Boy.
Kubota or Bad Boy doesn't make a diesel zero turn, do they?
Yep, and the commercial outlaw series.
Oh, they do? Okay. Yeah, always go for that cash price if you can. You're looking at $1,700 savings going with the cash price over the MSRP. You like the white tractors? Now I've had some of these at the house in the last month. Let's see if this is the 5558, 5555. Almost the exact same machine I've already run a demo on. So if you want to know about that one or this one, I've recently published full videos on it. So we've got side-by-sides, we've also got zero-turn mowers. Now I just did a review on one of these as well. I don't know if they make their own side-by-sides. That's a good question to ask. What was the question?
What if you bought one of these?
What if I bought one of those? Then we'd drive the heck out of it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is one you could drive. I really do need a side-by-side. The only downside to a side-by-side is all that exercise I get walking back and forth carrying chainsaws and chains and tools. Here we've got skid steer, full-size skid steer. I've just covered those with Bobcat of OKC. Bobcat was the original skid steer. Here's another one of those loaders comparable like to the Avant or that Giant that I was just looking at. This is a bigger version of it here. But it's a machine that I hadn't really thought of that much until I was watching Mike Morgan from Outdoors with the Morgans. And he really demonstrated how it has a purpose for his operation in replacing a skid steer. Not for dirt work, but for material handling. I'd love to get my hands on a Bobcat mini excavator. I've only ran one time. That was with Capper Outdoors. Here we've got the little bad boy subcompact I've been promising you guys a review on. I'm going to be getting that set up soon. The 2024. And even though it's really a Branson tractor, they've got their marketing down on point. And I was a big fan of the Branson tractors, so that's not a negative to it. What do you think about this one? They call it Bad Boy. They got that bulldog on the seat there. Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? And you can't even see over the steering wheel in that big guy. That one's for bringing in the hay, planting the corn. 4-year, 30,000 bale warranty from Kubota. That's a lot of bales. This is a 2502, super popular tractor model from Kubota. Affordable, no regen, good utility tractor for the average property owner. It is hot. Okay, I thought Coyote was normally over here. They're just around the corner. KX057. So that's a similar size to the one Mike has, I think. We've got a Coyote 3520. This is going to be a similar machine to that Bobcat 2035 that I demoed. I think this is what Adam from Hometown Acres has, and I ran it at his place. Nice machines. Grasshopper mowers. You know, I'm getting ready to try to set up a series of lawnmower reviews, but going into it, I mean, I think there's a lot of great mower brands, but going into that series, I'm really drawn towards the Grasshopper. I love these hydraulic flip-up decks. Liquid-cooled 3-cylinder on this Grasshopper 900. All right, this one here is a 2510. I ran one of these when I was at Full Circle Ozarks doing a sawmill review. We've got a cash price, $16,800 on this guy right here. Zayden, you think this guy's worth $16,000? Pretty good. Orange. The thing with those oranges, they kind of turn pink when the sun fades them. Now we've come to the indoor part of the show. I tell you, we've seen Kubota, and Coyote, and John Deere, and a little bit of New Holland, but I'm not seeing any of the smaller brands at this show, and there's just no crowd here at all. I feel like it costs a lot of money to set up at one of these booths, and it's just, I've talked to a lot of companies that you just don't get as many people out to the farm shows, and it costs them so much, and there's other ways to get exposure that a lot of companies are deciding these shows aren't worth it anymore, which is a shame because I really enjoy them. That's perfect. X580. Not everybody goes to a zero turn. There's still a market for the garden tractor. Now, in my experience, the higher end, like the X900 garden tractors from John Deere, are almost high enough in price that you might as well just get a loader with it and get a compact tractor. But the guys who have these machines love them. John Deere zero turns here at the show, probably just for space. But these are way down on the smaller, more budget end. That's a $3,500 zero turn. So a lot of times at this show, I think this is the 3rd or 4th year I've been here, I'm bumping into people to walk through here. You a local company that builds pole barns and stuff?
Yep.
Do all types, or is it just mainly one kind of building? It's a pole barn. Is it a metal truss or
No, so it's
traditional pole barn?
yeah. You have traditional pole barn, but we customize every building.
I know that there's a lot of variables, but what kind of ballpark are you at for like a 30 by 50 garage door style doors on it? 30 by 50, maybe 12-foot ceiling.
A 30 by 50 without concrete is closer to 40,000, and then 50,000 with concrete.
That's for you guys to put it up too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I did a Quonset hut, and it was same size, was about 25,000. I had to spend months putting it up myself.
Oh, you did? You did it yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from 25 to, what did you say without the lean-tos and stuff? 40.
40,000 without concrete, and then 50 with.
Yep. And it would have been about 8,000 to have someone put that up. So Quonset hut to a pole barn, you're looking 33,000 to 43. All right. Hey, thanks for your time.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. So what we have here is water furnace. It says smarter from the ground up. This is geothermal heating and cooling.
We're based in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Geothermal drastically reduces your carbon footprint, no fossil fuels. Environmentally equivalent of planting 750 trees. Save up to 70% on your heating and cooling. So the idea is that if you go a little bit below the ground level, the dirt is a constant temperature that's suitable for your house. These are kind of examples. You can use a pond, wiring going straight down below your house or running out in a grid. So these tubes carry water through the ground and into a unit like this in your house and cut down on your heating and cooling cost.
This is actually the newest product that we have. This will do forced air heat and cool. It'll also do in-floor heating if you choose that option.
All right, very cool. And if someone wants to check this out, is it waterfurnace.com?
Yep.
So a lot of my regulars are a big fan of my dad as kind of a redneck engineer. And he's always trying to design his own systems. And he's been trying to convince me on a system that runs through your attic and pumps water and kind of a homemade version of that. As a matter of fact, he was talking about a system that heats your swimming pool with the heat from your attic while also cooling off your house. But I'm not sure I'm a good enough plumber to run my own water lines through the attic. Might be a good way to ruin the house. Here we've got a stand-on mower from Grasshopper. I was a big fan of the form factor of the stand-on mower. The same reason I like the stand-on mini skid steer. It's just really convenient on and off. I find it to be comfortable to drive. Some people say it's hard on their knees. My experience was the opposite, that it prevented me from having back pain and it never bothered my knees. So that's going to vary from one person to the next. The problem I had with the zero-turn stand-on mowers I had before is they were underpowered. But I don't think that's the form factor. I think that's the model I had. Here we've got the Zerk Zapper. These are at all the shows I go to. And it's a specialized tool for when your grease zerk gets messed up, clogged with dirt, whatever the case may be. And you pop that onto the grease zerk and just smack it with a hammer and it'll free up your zerk. Here we have steel mowers. Now the steel mowers are made by Ferris. So you will recognize their deck suspension system on it. Ferris is a premium mower brand, so it's a great partnership for steel. And it's very common for a company that wants to break into a new industry to start off with a partnership like this, and then over time, potentially, start making the product themselves. That's the story I hear from equipment manufacturers all over the country. We started off by working with a company who's good at this, and then built off of their platform. Now, sometimes these partnerships are long-term. Ferris may always make the steel mowers, or it could be temporary. Hustler Super 104, 104-inch cut. That is a monster. I loved my Hustler X1. Awesome mower. Still got the Kawasaki. I was looking to see the horsepower on this engine. Mine was a 29.5 horsepower EFI. That's got the hyperdrive. This is the hydraulic cooling system on top. Look at those big gauge wheels on the deck. That is a monster of a commercial mower. 38.5 horsepower, $30,000 mower. Here we have Cub Cadet mowers. You don't hear much about those or see them that much on YouTube. But the Tractor Yard is a dealer for Cub Cadet, and he's telling me that they're very competitive. These are some of their mowers on the smaller end, but of course, they make the big stuff too. And just like I said with John Deere, you can still get your traditional garden tractor. Wonder how much this one runs. What's the price like on this guy, buddy? $2,799, $2,800 mower right here. The Diesel Z, one step up from the X1. This, I'm guessing, is a $18,000 mower. Let's see, $18,999. You're normally, people say it's, who haven't shopped for this size of commercial mower lately, you're shocked by the prices, but you're gonna spend 20K on a diesel mower. Roofing Force, a Midwest lifetime roof company. There's no one here at the moment to tell me about these products, but I'm sure interested because I need a new roof on my house, and really on 2 houses that I own. So this is going to have a lot of advantages over a shingle roof. For sure, installation. A lot of people go to the metal roof. I like the look of a roof like this much better, so maybe it's the best of both worlds. I wish they were here to tell me about it, but I'll just have to check them out online. Unified Steel Stone-Coated Roofing. Yes, so this is a metal roof, but the panels, the metal panels, interlock and they run horizontally instead of vertically. You guys a local company or a national company?
No, we based out of Decatur, Nebraska.
All right, so if I'm looking at a pole barn, why would I want to get this instead of the traditional framed, wooden framed pole barn?
Yep. So typically, your steel frame's gonna last longer than your wood building, just because there's no rot. But also, our insulation that we manufacture at the place is a closed cell kind of spray foam, hard foam board, and that lasts a lot longer than your bat insulation. Also.
All right, so do you have ballpark pricing on a building size? Okay, 30 by 50 building with a 12-foot ceiling?
So a 30 by 50 by 12 erected price would be around $39.5.
Okay, so pricing that we've looked at on putting up a building, the size of the 2 buildings I have, because I have a 30 by 50 pole barn and a 30 by 60 Quonset hut. The Quonset hut, you're going to be looking at around 23,000, because I said 25, but actually it's going to be a little bit less because mine's 30 by 60. But for a 30 by 50, you're going to be looking at 22,000. Maybe if you have it built for you, you're going to be at 30. Pole barn price we got today, 43, 39,000 for that steel pole barn. So where do you guys think the value is between those options? Here we have Tri-L Manufacturing, and they actually bought out Precision Manufacturing. And if you look right here, you'll see me playing on the screen here at the show. That's my skid steer, and that's back behind the Quonset hut while I was ripping out some trees. Very nice equipment. I'm getting ready to test out this tree puller on the tractor to see how it handles it. There's the exact tree puller that I have. Now, when Precision was bought by Tri-L, that added more products to their lineup. This is a Precision Grapple. It's a little bit bigger version, but I don't think this is a model that Precision had. I think this is a Tri-L product. Okay, so here we have some kind of a walk-behind brush cutter. I don't know anything about these, so I'm gonna let the man tell us.
Essentially, it's like a chainsaw on wheels. If you're trying to go through and clear stuff, it'll take out vines, bushes, shrubs, saplings, 4.5-inch diameter trees, cuts stumps right out. It takes it all flush with the ground, so you don't have anything left to trip on. If you're trying to get in places where you can't get a bigger cutter, this is small, it's lightweight, weighs 40 pounds, and just maneuver it right in there.
So it's like a little chainsaw engine, basically,
Yeah.
like a two cycle.
It's a 2-stroke, 52cc, 12,000 RPM engine, and designed specifically for the product. You get about 2 hours of usage time when it's full of gas and oil before you got to refill, and you can do about 2 acres with the run time that you get before you got to refill it. So by the time you're empty with gas and oil, you're pretty much done.
To take a fairly standard chain that I can
Yes.
find somewhere.
You can grab them at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's an Oregon M72, and you can get the chains from us as well on the website. You gotta wait for them to ship.
Yep. And what's a ballpark price for a unit like what we see right here?
They're normally $649. They are $499 for the show, and that sale will run for 48 hours after the show's done. So Tuesday evening it'll stop.
Now here we see it being used for almost mowing like a DR brush mower. Is it? Now, it's not going to be ideal for grass. You want something that's a brushy material probably for that to work
Correct.
well.
Yeah, the thinner the stuff is, the harder it's going to be to get rid of it. But if you've got thicker stuff like bushes, vines, and stuff, saplings, bamboo.
He's cutting down some pretty decent sized trees here.
Oh yeah, it'll take out 4.5-inch diameter trees.
I guess with the chainsaw chain, the only limitation is how big of a tree do you want to fall on you,
Yeah.
and how much time do you have to let it cut. All right, so what's your company called, and where do we find this product if we want one?
Pathmaker is the company. Our products can be found easiest on our website, which is pathmakerllc.com, and we sell and ship everything UPS, and typically 2-day, 3-day, depending on location. We ship out of Louisiana.
All right, hey, thanks for your time. So that Pathmaker product that I just looked at is my favorite kind of product. Had to check and make sure my grandson's still here. So that guy just had an idea and didn't know if it would work. What if I put a chainsaw on the bottom of a walk behind? And spent several years developing it, testing it, changing it, and now it's at market. And I love that kind of company, that kind of innovation. Don't know if the product works, but it's a cool idea. So I just found another really cool product, and come to find out, this is a small business and the owners are here at the show. So I'm gonna let them tell you what this product is and what it's for.
Hi, I'm Ryan with Limbbuster Tree Saws. We make attachments for your skid steer and also for a tractor. Basically, they're designed to cut overgrowth around your field lines, county roads, municipalities, DOT departments and such. We can cut anything from 6-inch all the way up to 20-inch diameter limbs with them, with flow rates as low as 11 gallons per minute on a tractor platform to as high as 26, 28 gallons per minute on a skid steer.
All right, so whenever I saw this sucker's reaching way up in the air. My thought when I saw how high up in the air that was, I thought, man, that's got to be really heavy. You probably need a really big machine to run that. But what were you saying this weighs?
All right, so our commercial model up here, which is called our LB16 CM, which CM stands for commercial, that only weighs 640 pounds. The tube we use is extremely lightweight. It's a steel composite. We don't let loose of the metallurgy. It's proprietary, but basically they're designed to flex under a high load and spring back straight. So that unit up there weighs 640 pounds. Our new ag model that we're coming out with in late June, early July, only weighs 580 pounds. Two different drive systems that drive the blades, but they're both a very robust, very strong unit.
I gotta say, I've looked at a lot of tree trimming equipment that you can operate from the cab, and this is impressive. And with that lightweight, pretty much any skid steer is gonna handle that no problem.
Absolutely. So we recommend on skid steer size, anything over 7,000 pounds. And the main reason is just so you have a counterbalance behind it. Most times when you're cutting, everything falls away, but every now and then you'll get a tree limb stuck on the head. You don't want to be tipping forward.
And the lower weight allows it to be longer.
Exactly.
And so how high does that actually reach?
So most skid steer platforms on our 16-foot model, you're looking at about a 26-foot of usable cut height on there, which obviously is going to clear any tractor, combine, anything out there.
Fantastic. And so if someone's watching this and they want one, how do they find you?
So you can go on our Facebook page, look us up at Limbbuster Tree Saws. You can also go on our website at limbbuster.com.
All right, check them out. All right, so that's going to wrap up our trip to the 4 States Farm Show this year. It's a smaller show and it was not busy at all, but man, I feel like I made some really good connections. Hopefully set up some future content. Zayden, what's your review? How did you like the farm show? You have fun? All right, I appreciate you guys taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.